when the most usual day becomes the most unusual day. While taking a refreshing evening stroll around the park, Seth becomes a witness of an event that will change humanity and all of modern science in the blink of an eye. A shimmering cobalt blue piece of metal sticks out of the ground with an unusual pattern on it. Something between art and natural phenomena. It reminds Seth of bubbles or some kind of foam on the ocean, but with rainbow-like colors in it. If he looks at it like that, then it reminds him of the soapy water used by children to blow bubbles. As Seth tries to pick up the football-sized piece, he immediately feels massive heat radiating from it. Sudden and immediate, just a handspan away from it, the radiating stops again. All right, he thinks. Let's take a look at how this will do. He grabs a twig and throws it onto the metal. It starts flaming up like a firecracker, and in the blink of an eye, just vanishes. Rex, Seth's trusty dog, flinches back. The process of vanishing made a sound that closely resembles a door squeaking like it hasn't been oiled in decades. What the hell is this? Seth takes a step back, and the whole ordeal roused attention of others also visiting the park on this not-so-usual evening. The park's been closed after the police arrived to remove this mysterious object. The local news will surely explain what we found there. Seth thought to himself, maybe it's the part of a spaceship from Aliens. I mean, now that we've seen them, did you see the pictures from Mexico? Some people, Seth thinks to himself, or maybe we just found Excalibur, he said jokingly. Meanwhile, the world we used to know begins to crumble. Dr. Grellsworth, the chief of meteorology, has been diligently working until the late evening. How can a man lay down his work while everything I ever studied and taught can be thrown out the window, he angrily remarks. But Mr. Grellsworth, the machines are just not calibrated, and the barometer told me 3 weeks ago that there's literally no pressure in our atmosphere anymore. But as you can see, we're still breathing and quite well for these circumstances. Daniel always has this sarcasm to him, but his superior wasn't up to joking around. I checked the pyranometer 4 times now, and then just completely switched it out for the new ones we just got for the factory. I checked all outposts and research stations. Look at this. Dr. Grellsworth points at a map he constructed and drew an outline on. By all that's sacred, there's something above us that is the size of Florida. At least we now have a clear picture, President Ricketts said. We can't deny it. There are extraterrestrial beings above us. At first, we hoped it was just an object that was hovering above us, but the observation of the last 24 hours won't let us come to another conclusion than aliens. We even have first pictures and videos. They wear a kind of sack to shield themselves, or maybe hide themselves from us. But our experts have sketches of what could be behind these suits, if this is their suit. All of this was said in a last presidential meeting with all important people present, the last time for a long time. The war begins. Before any contact could be established with our alien visitors, a wave of different frequencies hit the planet. Minutes later, the whole population of Earth gets hit by an electric impulse, effectively destroying the electrical net and many major electrical devices. Within a couple of minutes, when the dust had settled, we find ourselves teleported back into the time before the Industrial Revolution. While having been hit with a heavy blow, we can count ourselves fortunate. We still live, and the aliens have not sent another devastating attack. President Ricketts immediately orders preparation for a revenge strike on our invaders from outer space, and also works on finding ways to communicate with the international community. Our classical news has changed into a series of emergency alerts and more or less tips and tricks on what to do and how to prepare yourself for the incoming war that'll change the future of mankind. Here and there, some people receive news in a more classical sense, even though everything's been tainted with the alien attack, like major cities receiving some electricity or smaller settlements creating their own electricity, becoming independent from help from the government. It's been 20 hours without the general electricity net, but calming news came in. All nuclear power plants are safe, running on their emergency generators, and information and emergency nets were already reestablished. A ringing breaks the silence in the planning room in the hidden emergency quarters. It's the president of Russia wanting to talk with President Ricketts. Ricketts immediately grabs the phone and frantically shouts into the speaker, "What's your status? Are you also hit?" The room full with scientists and military generals holds their breath. A heavy Eastern European accent answers, "You have been hit very severe, but we, Europe, and nearly all of the nuclear countries already have united into a defense league for the alien threat. We are well off for this kind of cinematic scenario. Let's show them how things work on Earth. We don't know what the aliens thought, but we're more than capable of defending ourselves from their invasion without electricity. Dozens of incidents have been reported of scout missions from the alien that have been shot by the Army or by armed civilians. Scientists were able to get the first 10 specimens into their laboratories to inspect, dissect, and study them. Being slightly less blue than their ship with its weird metal, the aliens look more like overgrown insects with eyes moving rapidly and mechanically, and a main body stiff and long because of their bone-like skin. Under this shield-like skin, a bunch of weirdly formed organs can be found, not even resembling anything we've known so far in the slightest. But do you know what this skin can't do? Block our bullets. All over the world, these aliens seem to have no chance against our weapon technology, their skin getting absolutely demolished by different machine guns around the world. Old carbines from the Vietnam War, even old German rifles from the Second World War, like the K98K, eliminate them with ease. The president laughingly read aloud a report from Tanzania where tribal groups have killed 4 of these insect-like intruders with a bow and spear. Not knowing the effectiveness of our classical guns, production and distribution starts on a worldwide scale. Other approaches around the world can be found with the Japanese military, who very early started to deploy drones and fight against the aliens before they can even reach the ground. But strategies differ. Saudi Arabia seems to be especially plagued by the unwelcome visitors because of its arid and hot climate. But they also found new and creative ways to deal with them, scanning the desert for unusual landing sites and bombing them by plane and helicopters has led the aliens to concentrate on other countries. It seems like they try to gather important intel about our planet, but a dead alien can research anything. But we as humans are not working together perfectly. Some countries use the cut-up of communication to press their made-up claims on other countries and invaded them or committed war crimes, hiding their deeds in the turmoil. Even though it seems like the situation is under control and the first news speakers are talking about victories and successful operations, some landing of the aliens could not be stopped, and they built tiny bases underground, which are hard to find and give them foothold on the land. There's a consensus within the Defense League for the alien threat. There needs to be a permanent and final solution. 1 week later. Launch. The first nuclear rocket flies straight into the direction of the spaceship. Now we'll see if the experts are right about the missing defense mechanisms in the ship. Dozens of headquarters are watching the live streams in fear, and the tension is overwhelming. It is a hit. The gigantic state-sized ship got hit by a rocket, destroying a wing on the side of the ship, breaking of enormous parts now flying down to Earth. While some of these parts just burn up in the atmosphere, some are too big for that and could endanger us. Luckily, multiple rockets were sent, some of them later to target the now falling heated metal elements of the ship to break them into smaller pieces, making them absolutely harmless. A couple of rocket maneuvers later, the unthinkable happens. The ship starts to move upwards, further and further away, just to disappear into the orbit. Our lead scientists and experts on astronautics are sure that they won't be able to leave our sun system with its damage before being completely unable to move. There is no way around it. They won't be able to survive this. While humankind is cheerful this time, you can also find out what we would look like in case of a defeat. Check our other video out telling you the tale of how humans lost against the alien invasion and our life in a post-apocalyptic world infested by aliens.